Welcome to Arkham Reactor. Today we're doing probably one of the first metal bands I actually properly heard when it came to the kind of I don't like kind of stereotyping places, but the kind of heavy metal, new metal kind of scene. And it was Five Finger Death Punch, Trivium, Disturbed, people like them that were one of the first ones that I kind of swayed towards, and then up came what's now things into like Amon Amarth, etc., etc., where it starts to get a little bit heavier from then onwards. But these are still one of today, I would say probably one of my favourites. They're usually always on a playlist, which can't fault me for because it's Five Finger Death Punch at the end of the day. But we're gonna do a song that is quite heavily tied to what Five Finger Death Punch do quite a bit, and they've always got some kind of song for paying tribute to the veterans, and this is one of them. It's The Wrong Side of Heaven, or The Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell. It's from that album, and this is one of their songs. It's quite an emotional song, but in a way you can kind of always relate it to whatever country that you're in, your own kind of military and what they kind of do governments wise. A lot of governments do send out their troops to war, etc., as we know. And this is just kind of what happens once they come back, which Five Finger Death Punch go into a little bit more, but I'm not going to spoil it for Big G. We've got one pause, we'll bring it back 10 seconds, and then we'll kind of analyse it and see what our thoughts is at the end. But Big G's not really heard much of Five Finger Death Punch, so this was my kind of way to get him into it. Are you ready? Oh, before I forget, we have the Patreon. If you want to say support the channel or come on, or we do have an extra few features as well if you want to support the channel, and there's a few extra features, early videos that you get as well, and we have sometimes maybe 1 or 2 meets a month on Zoom where you can come and hang out with us and talk the shit and whatever you want. And we also have obviously the Spotify where we update the playlist for every song that we've reacted to as in order as well. Big G keeps on top of that. And finally, if you want to recommend any songs, there's 2 methods you can do. Discord or the Facebook group. We watch them all the time, so if you ever want to recommend a new song or a band that we've not heard of, then that's your 2 kind of best methods too. Did I get it all?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I'm on a rolling sausage.
And all the links are down in description.
Indeed, with wee kind of arrows next to them. So we're going to get into this in 3, 2, 1, go.
just like me. What have I done? And who have I become? I saw the devil today, and he looked a lot like me. I looked away. I turned away. Arms wide open. I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly tell. I'm on the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell. The wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell. I'm not defending, downward descending, falling further and further away, getting closer every day.
Pause right there. 340. It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
The thing.
It's very similar to a song that Anthrax done years and years ago off of the State of Euphoria album called Who Cares Wins.
Mhm.
You know, and it's kind of hitting home about the, pardon the pun, about homelessness.
Yeah,
Whereas this is taking it one step further. It's homeless veterans, you know.
yeah, there's
That's
quite
shocking.
yeah, it's very shocking indeed. There's just hitting on the actual song before we go into the other topics kind of thing.
Aye.
You saw the devil today, and he said he wasn't to blame. It's quite
Yeah,
it's as if you kind of taking it into a religious aspect and going, yeah, this isn't the devil's fault and it's not God's fault. It's kind of man-made in a way.
yeah, absolutely.
How these kind of situations happen. It's not down to a religious figure going, here, bring war or whatever. It's all kind of man-made, which is
Yeah.
which,
Ronald Reagan said it. Ronald Reagan said, you know, if we were facing a threat from outside of our world, you know, all our petty indifferences would be set aside. And he's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but while
Yeah.
there is no say alien sources or whatnot, then it's just down to human kind of
Yeah.
what happens, and in ways it could be avoided, but in ways we're not the ones to kind of say, here's how you fix it. It's down to them, the politicians and everyone else like that, to kind of fix it between themselves.
On a lighter note, though,
Yeah.
they must be Kevin Smith fans. And there's one thing that gives it away. I spoke to God today. She said,
Yes.
God is female. God is Alanis Morissette in Dogma.
Yes.
Kevin Smith. So they're Kevin Smith fans. I'm just putting that out there. They must be.
There's not a lot
And
Kevin Smith has
agree.
done. There's not that's not good. Did he not do a few episodes of Arrow, Flash, and everything like that?
He
So
did indeed. He did indeed. He done some of the best episodes of them. Actually, he done the best episode of Supergirl, if you ask me.
yeah.
But I do digress. I'm sorry, taken away from the song here. But yeah, back onto the actual some of the facts that were coming up on the screen there. I mean, these guys gave absolutely everything for their own country, and they're just kind of tossed aside.
I think
like that, you
I
know?
think a few was it a few years ago when I was watching this, there was a comment that underneath the video says if we can afford to send the troops to war, obviously speaking on our American side because we're Scottish and we live in Scotland and Ireland, but in the case of if we can afford to send them to war, then we can afford to accommodate them when they come home, and it's not a kind of thing that we see a lot of. Obviously there's a few veteran kind of companies and things, not companies, but organisation kind of things out there.
Oh, there's charities out there, I dare say, that look after these guys to the
Aye.
best of their abilities, you know, but they're charities, so they only have so much that they can do with, you know,
Exactly.
so
But in a way, if it was like for us, for instance, if the UK can afford to send their troops back out, in ways the same thing still happens over here as well. It'll happen in mostly
yeah,
every
yeah.
country because it's a situation that for
To a
some,
different degree, obviously, because we are a smaller country, so you know
aye,
we don't have figures like America do, but when you put it, you know, to a ratio,
yeah, the
I dare say it's
percentages,
probably similar.
yeah, the percentages will
But
match out at the end, but it's a kind of, in a way, it's
whoever made that comment though is bang on. If you ask me, when it comes to like war budgets,
mhm,
which if you ask me, there shouldn't be any need for them, you know,
that's
but when you're talking about a military budget, that budget should take into consideration part of that budget should be for aftercare,
aye,
because these guys get pushed to their absolute limits, not just when they're out in the field, but you know, you're in the training itself.
aye,
They're put through a hell of a lot of physical and mental. It's next to torture what they have to go through to train to be
no,
able to
and when they come
harden
back,
themselves
and when they come
with
back,
the
they're even
realities of
worse.
war. You
Mhm.
know, so yeah, exactly. And then they get out there, they're supposedly hardened, military hardened to be able to cope with everything out there, and then they come back and yeah, they're worse
The men,
because they see things that nobody should ever have to see,
exactly.
and there's no aftercare for them. They need to sort that out for themselves most of the time,
Mhm.
which shouldn't be the case. It really shouldn't.
Shouldn't be the case, but anyway, when
And
it
God bless these guys. I'm agnostic, but God bless these guys for actually doing this.
mhm, exactly, yeah, not religious.
I doff my cap to thee.
Mhm. He's not wearing his cap today, which is
I'm
strange
not
for
wearing my cap now.
no.
I'm showing off my Viking cut today.
Very Viking indeed. So, in a sense, going back to we've covered basically the kind of the veteran and aftercare aspect of it. But
Mhm.
Five Finger Death Punch, respect to them.
Absolutely.
They've got a few. They've got another two or three songs. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but they've got another one. I'm sure it's called "Gone Away," I think, and that's another one to it. But they've always got kind of, in ways, a lot of their songs are kind of tied into this kind of thing because they're a
Good on them.
massive fans of their veterans. But we're going back to 3:30, and we're just gonna let the rest play out.
Just before we do, it's not easy to be able to stick to one subject like that and keep it fresh. You know, because I write lyrics myself. To be able to write lyrics that actually have some sort of impact and meaning like this has,
Yeah,
it's tough to be
and
able to do.
in a way, kind of. I know we've heard a Sabaton song about 82nd All the Way, which relates back
Yep.
to the American War, but they do that day in, day out. But I don't think
Yeah.
they do it in this level, but they're more like a history lesson in a way with
Yeah.
Sabaton,
Yeah.
which is something that we don't really see. But this is just on a kind of it's on a different kind of scale. You can't compare them both, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Musically as well, it's beautiful, man. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's got a really good mood about, not a good mood, but you know what I mean. It's got the right mood
yeah.
in the music to be able to kind of grab you into the situation that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know.
So are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely. 3:30.
Yep, 3:30 and 3, 2, 1, go.
Closer every day.
Fuck. Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus, man. That ain't right.
Nope. And here's some information if you need some.
Let this play out, man, because, yeah. That ain't right. There shouldn't be any need for this many organisations that have to deal with stuff like this. There really shouldn't. That's disgusting, man.
There should only really be need for one, in a sense, and sometimes even zero. But obviously, there's going to be people out there that do need the support when they come back. But there's far too many in this list. It just shows that the lack of support out there, that more people kind of need to conjoin together.
The majority of these that I'm seeing look like charities, you know, and it shouldn't. Charities do a great job. Don't get me wrong, but there shouldn't be any need for it, in my opinion.
No.
Because if you're gonna have a force that represents your country, you're responsible to look after these guys after the fact. That's the way it should be. Take part of that military budget that you have to fund these guys when they're out there and set it aside for the aftercare, because that's fucking disgusting.
Yep. What I'm going to do as well is, you might see this on the tiny wee box that we have. The link will be in the description for the original video, and it's around about 5.5 minutes into it when it starts coming up with these lists. So if you do need any of them, then they'll be there for you. But
yeah, that's a good idea, man. It's a good idea.
About 350-ish million people have seen this video, and it's probably one of the most popular ones that Five Finger Death Punch have. So, and the majority of comments are filled with veterans and etc. People that have been there, done, seen them things, and are out. But this kind of just, I'm not too sure I would give. In a way, it's there to pay respects to the veterans, but I don't know if it gives them more happiness, or it kind of tugs on the heartstrings a wee bit more. So
I dare say, if any veteran was to watch that, it would reduce them to reduce any. I was actually finding it really hard myself to fight back the tears.
Yeah,
because it's fucking disgusting, man. There shouldn't be any need for it, in my opinion.
I get what you mean. In response to what we've already said, if you can afford to send them, then it's your responsibility afterwards to take care of them. And it's not just the US military, it's not just the UK military, it's all militaries.
I mean, you look at it this way, right? They're paying for these guys to go out there, and to put it simply, they're paying for these guys to go out there, fight for them, and literally tear away their whole personality that existed before they went out there. Because they become different people. You know, when they go through that training, you know, all of that gets stripped away, all the personality gets stripped away, so that all that's left is a killing machine. You know, that's literally all that's left. Okay, they have to have a certain amount of like compassion to be able to deal with, you know, any refugees or whatever, you know, anybody that's getting rescued, you know. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're basically having their souls destroyed. They're literally destroying these people's souls by sending them out there, and people do that willingly, and it takes some kind of fucking person to be able to do something like that, because they know what they're getting themselves into. You know, so the least that these people can do that are sending these guys and women out is look after them when they fucking come back.
As well as you've seen in the video, the police officer had the same.
The
Was
same
this?
tattoo. That see when I seen that fucking hit me, man.
Yeah, it's like a case of I know that tattoo. He doesn't need to
Yeah,
be cuffed to go back in this, and he's
yeah.
just a bit. The guy was
And
just
then
a
the
bit.
guy, the guy that in the suit that went over to the dude that was sitting against the wall,
Mhm,
and I can lip read to a certain degree, and he
mhm,
basically said, "Whoa, oh, whoa, I serve too, brother."
mhm.
You know, that's what he was saying. Holy shit, man! But I mean, these guys should have. There should be accommodation. Like, you look at the amount of fucking properties that are owned in America.
Mhm.
The amount of fucking housing developments, okay, every country's taken a hit in the past couple of years for obvious reasons, right? But set that aside, right? Just forget that that's happened for a second.
Mhm.
There should be fucking accommodation for these guys. You know, set them up in the fucking barracks if need be. Have somewhere set aside for these guys. You know, because they know that when they come back, shit's going to hit the fan. They're going to have like all sorts of mental issues when they come back to deal with. Half of them are, God forbid, you know, but half of them are going to lose their fucking families through it
Yep.
because they come back, and when they come back, it's not the person that left,
No,
you know, so that's usually what's going to fucking hit the family. So these folk know that. Have somewhere for them set aside so
exactly.
that they're not having to fucking go out in the street. You know, it's just I could
What?
go on about this all day.
But we're not gonna let you.
I'm getting myself angry here, so
On another note, Five Finger Death Punch. There's a band you've not heard before.
that's beautiful, man.
They've got a
That
few.
is that.
They've got a few more like it, but I think for the next one we'll go back to something a little bit older. Because that is, in a sense, that is older, but it's back from 2014ish. But the Five Finger Death Punch been around for a while. I think we might give them another few goes because it was the same for Trivium. Trivium was in the same sense that you'd not heard the newish kind of Trivium, and
No.
you like that. Alex Bent was a machine on the drums
Oh,
anyway.
I'll say that. That's one thing that I instantly latched onto with that song was the drumming.
Mm-hmm.
The drums in that. I mean, I know that it's a fairly slowish beat, you know, and you could easily you know what I'm talking about being a drummer yourself. If you have something at that kind of tempo, it would be easy to kind of just go, oh, I can take it easy then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just sit back and do a simple da boom da. But he's going hell bent for leather,
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless. You know what he was doing was that's proper percussion.
No, that's one of the kind of first songs. Just going back, I've only just set that back up as you may as everyone can see, but it's one of the first songs I went back to. It's because it's you can play with this one a little bit as well. It's the way the drummer does it is obviously probably
Yeah,
the best version, but you can take your own interpretation into it.
and he was beautifully accenting some of the chords as well. You
Mhm.
know, wasn't that he was just doing whatever, you know, just for the sake of filling the space because, like I said, it's a slow tempo, so you could easily, as I said, get caught into doing a 1-2. But he was accenting pretty
Mhm.
much every chord and mood. You know, he was hitting harder in certain bits to kind of accentuate
Mhm.
the emotion. You know, so it's some bit of playing, really buzz.
I think we'll get back to some more. Get back into a few of the kind of the bands like. Have you heard every Disturbed album or have you not?
I haven't heard every Disturbed album. They're another band that I never really gave a chance. For all I love your fella's vocals, you know, he is incredible. He's another one of these guys that has a really surprising range. He can be down here,
Ah,
you know, in the octaves. He can be down here, and then the next second he's way up here, you
yeah,
know.
David
But
David Draymond as well was one of.
that's the one, David Draymond. But he's fantastic, man. But I never really listened to a full album, to tell you the truth.
see, but now we're opening the kind of horizon. This is where we
We
can go.
are.
It's like
Yeah.
we started off with the Night Wish, and we've just kind of went, "Wee."
And I have listened to a full album,
Good stuff. I hope you
and
enjoyed
I
it.
was happy.
Good. Anyway, folks, that was Five Finger Death Punch, Wrong Side of Heaven from the Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell album. If the original link will be in the description anyway for them. And massive respect to Five Finger Death Punch and all the troops from whatever country that you're in. Massive respect to them.
Yep.
We'll be back next time with a big G pick. Not going to tell you what it is because I've already heard what it is. Well, I've not heard what the song. I've heard what the song is, but I've not heard the song. So
Yeah,
we'll be back for some.
it's a good one.
It's always a good one. Bye, folks.